6 reasons why I love intermittent fasting and why I continue to do it, and hopefully persuade you to start doing it too. Number 1, it's inexpensive. There's so many people out there trying to sell you something, supplements, fad diets, juices, etc. But the reality is some of the most beneficial things are free. Fasting is free. You don't need to pay anything to anyone. And if you learn to do it, you could start getting results almost instantly. Which leads me to number 2. You don't need anything to start. Don't need to pay anyone. You don't need anything to start. You could start almost right now. If you're watching this in the morning, you can start right now. If you're watching this in the nighttime, you can start tonight. Number 3, one of the biggest reasons why I started fasting and why I continue to fast is that it cancels out the food noise. So we've been told that we need to eat every 3 to 4 hours, 4 to 6 meals a day. And I was guilty of this. I've done it before. I've eaten 4 to 6 meals a day. And one thing that I noticed is that I was consistently thinking about food. I was always thinking about my next meal. What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to have for a snack? What am I going to eat for lunch? What am I going to eat for my snack? What am I going to eat for dinner? What am I eating for dessert? Etc. But when you fast, it cancels out the food noise, especially in the morning. You wake up, you do your morning business, you drink a glass of water, have a coffee, and you get straight into it. You're not wasting an hour or 2 in the morning thinking about what you're going to eat. You know, when you wake up, that you're not going to eat till 12, 1, 2 p.m., whenever you want to break your fast, and that's it. You can get straight into it without obsessing over food. Most people wake up in the morning and be constantly eating as soon as they wake up until they go to sleep. Fasting doesn't do that, okay? It lets you control the food rather than letting the food control you. And if you think about it, most people will eat breakfast out of habit, not necessarily because they're hungry. Number 4, fasting allows me to eat bigger meals later throughout the day, in particular dinner. So I'm a personal trainer by trade, right? So I wake up at 5 a.m. most days, and I have clients from 6 till about 11 a.m. By fasting and eliminating breakfast, I'm actually saving those calories that I would normally have for breakfast, and I'm pushing them later in the day for lunch and dinner. Skipping breakfast allows me to have a bigger lunch, allows me to have a bigger dinner. And this is perfect for me and my schedule. 1, I don't have the time to eat for breakfast. I found out that I don't necessarily like eating in the morning. I like getting straight into work. And I found that I love eating dinner as my biggest meal. Contrary to what you've been told, dinner is my biggest meal and I love it. I love going to bed with a full stomach. Not everyone's going to agree with that, but it works for me. Number 5, fasting will give you an eating schedule or a routine. And the reason why most people struggle with their weight, struggle with their body fat levels, simply because they don't have a routine to follow. They eat aimlessly throughout the day. From the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, they're constantly eating with no routine, no structure. And that's probably why 70% of the population is overweight. Number 6, fasting almost guarantees that you drop body fat. Losing weight, guys, is all about energy balance, calories in versus calories out. And by eliminating breakfast, you're automatically reducing 1 meal of the entire day, okay? You're eliminating whatever you'd have for breakfast. So let's say your breakfast was always 500 to 600 calories. By cutting out breakfast, you've created a 500 to 600 calorie deficit. On top of that, because you skipped breakfast, there's no food readily available, your body is forced to break down fat cells and use it for energy. And this is how you drop body fat and lose weight. So that is why I love fasting. That is why I recommend fasting. It's why I continue to fast. Let's talk about some of the potential benefits. Fasting has been proven to improve cardiovascular health, insulin sensitivity, autophagy. Studies have even shown that fasting can actually increase your lifespan. Okay? Research suggests that people who follow calorie restrictions live longer than people who don't. Being overweight, having high percentage body fat, really does nothing for your health and actually lowers your lifespan. This is how to fast, guys. This is what I do. And I will never recommend something that I haven't personally done myself. I recommend fasting to you because I've personally done it and I do it every single day. Even while recording this video, I haven't eaten. It's 2 p.m. I still haven't eaten. I'm fasting. Here is my fasting protocol. You can adopt it if you like it. If not, all good. So when you wake up in the morning, do your morning business, drink a tall glass of water, 200 to 500 mils, and start your day. You can have a low calorie or a 0 calorie drink, such as a black coffee, energy drink, whatever it is, and not eat till 12 p.m. So when it hits 12 p.m., this is when you break your fast. But I would recommend having something high in protein, low to moderate carbohydrates, and a bit of fats. So 2 p.m. now, what I'm gonna have is a steak, a little bit of avocado, and a mixed bean salad. That's my first meal of the day. And then I'll potentially have some snacks and dinner later on tonight. So with fasting, I have a specific time I eat and a specific time I stop eating. And that's the difference between people who fast and people who don't. Time restrictive eating gives you a small eating window, typically from 4 to 8 hours. So me personally, I follow the 16-8 fast, where I fast for 16 hours of the day and I only eat between the hours of 12 and 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. is when I try to stop eating. You can do it later, earlier, it doesn't necessarily matter. So for example, you could stop eating at 10 p.m. and you can start eating at 2 p.m. Or you could eat a bit earlier, start eating at 10 a.m., stop eating at 6 a.m. It doesn't really matter as long as there's that 16-hour fasted window. Here are some common drawbacks, all right? Fasting is hard. Yeah, like anything you do the first time, there's going to be an adjustment phase. Anything you try for the first time is always going to take some time adjusting. For example, if you've been having breakfast your entire life, let's say you're 30 years old, and then next week you stop eating breakfast, obviously you're going to experience some discomfort, which is completely normal. But if you can stick through that, you are going to notice the benefits. And this is why I highly recommend hydration, and if you want, having a coffee. So caffeine has been proven to blunt your appetite, okay? And I notice it. Once I have a coffee in the morning, I don't feel like eating for a long time. And that is why caffeine is one of the main ingredients in most fat burning supplements, because it has that appetite suppressant. So water, coffee in the morning, black coffee or 0 calorie energy drink to bring you all the way up until lunch. First meal, 12 p.m., eat lunch, maybe a snack in between, dinner, stop eating by 8 or whenever the time you want to stop eating. Here is some recommendations on top of following the 16-8 fast. Keep protein high. There's a misconception that you will lose all your muscle if you start fasting. Let's say if you're someone who goes to the gym and you want to build muscle and get lean and all that, that if you start fasting, you're going to lose muscle. No, that's total bullshit. You will lose muscle if you don't train. So as long as you're consistently sending the signal, you're going to the gym, lifting weights, challenging your body multiple times a week, preferably 2 to 3 times, you're going to maintain your muscle. It's important to keep protein as high as possible, regardless of whether you're fasting, but especially if you're fasting, to keep your protein intake high. Every meal should consist of 30 to 50 grams of protein. So my first meal of the day, like I said, is going to be a steak. There's going to be a minimum 30 to 50 grams of protein in that meal, and in my dinners 50 grams or more. So here's my recommendations for training when fasted. When you first wake up, drink 500 mils of water and keep your hydration consistent throughout the day. Right before you're going to train, have some caffeine, 30 minutes to an hour before. I would say 30 minutes. Train, do your session, 45 minutes, an hour, lift weights, whatever you do. Aim to have your eating window close to your training window. So for example, I will train at 10, 11 a.m. most days. And then as soon as I'm done training, I can start eating 12, 1 p.m. So have your training window close to your eating window. And that's for me because I like to train in the morning and eat after. But if you're someone who trains in the afternoon, it's even easier, okay? So you have your first meal around 12, 1 p.m. You train, you have your post-workout shake or whatever, your post-workout meal, and then dinner. So it's really up to you how you want to do it, guys. You shouldn't have to spend hundreds to thousands of dollars to lose weight and be healthy. Some of the best methods, like fasting, are completely free. If you're like me and you want to drop body fat, create a healthy routine in an inexpensive way, then fasting is a great option for you. This knowledge should be free and accessible to everyone. Guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Hopefully I've convinced you to fast, because again, I love it and I recommend almost everyone to do it. Any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.